Hey guys, B-Toys here. Today is Wednesday, July 28th. Hope everybody had a good day. Today we're going to be looking at a handful of stocks, a few that ripped today, and then we're going to be looking at SPY, QQQ, and IWM. So we're going to start off by looking at CHWY. CHWY was one of my favorite picks for this week. I talked about it on the weekend video. And I wanted to go over it into a little bit more detail about what I could potentially be seeing here in these upcoming days. Um, so why was it one of my favorite picks? It was one of my favorite picks because of the fact that I had seen us going up for a clear one, pulling back for a two, and then rallying up for a one. So what I had saw in the weekend video is that we were going up for a one, and soon we were going to have the two pullback. So why did that make me like this stock so much? Well, it made me like this stock so much because you always want to try to buy calls on a wave at a wave two bottom so you can catch a wave three up, preferably a wave three, and that's what I'm seeing. I was seeing a 1-2, possible 1-2 nest, but I wanted to wait for the pullback to get in because I'm not going to buy on the rip up for a one and then have it fall back 60% of this entire impulse up because I'd lose a lot of my profit that way. So I want to wait on the pullback. So what I did was, and I tweeted about this yesterday. So on Monday we rallied up and we got rejected at the 90 area. As expected, I figured we would get rejected and we would drop. And then we opened on Tuesday and we came all the way down here. And we caught this moving average. So I was calling that an A. So I tweeted that I entered a starter position. So why did I enter a starter position? Well, because I don't think that was my wave two bottom. But it is possible that if I looked at maybe the 10-minute chart or maybe like the 30-minute chart, that maybe this was the A, this was the B, and then this flush was the C, meaning that this would be bottom. So that's why I opened half my position in these cases. If I'm not 100% sure whether I think it's bottom or not, it could be a shallow bottom. Um, or maybe it's just not bottom, we're going to flush one more time. That's why I open half a position, and then if we do flush again, I'll enter the rest of the money, and if we don't flush again, I won't put the rest of the money in. I'll just take my gains from my half position that I let ride. I'm just not willing to put up all the money that I want to enter position in at this level because I'm not seeing a clear through waves. What I see right here is one wave, but I do really like the stock. It is a wave three of three, meaning at any point in time it could just rally and it could go up 10%, something crazy. Obviously we saw that today. So what did we see today? I still think we saw an A move up for a B. Now I could be wrong. Maybe this was bottom and maybe we rip higher tomorrow and we pass this $90 range. If we pass this $90 range, this was obviously bottom, and that's why I'm glad I got in with my starter position. Today we went up 5%, but we didn't break the $90 range. So we didn't break yesterday's high, meaning this is still possibly a valid B. So what do I think is going to happen? I ultimately think that we're going to flush tomorrow. Maybe we go flat and we flush at the end of the day. Maybe we flush on Friday. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but I do see us going lower. And I think all dips on CHWY are buy. I think we're going to have a 5-wave impulse to the downside. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we only came down and double bottomed. Maybe our C bottoms right at the same spot as A. Maybe it does go a little deeper. It could be anywhere within this 81 to 80, 81, 83 to the 77.15 range. But either way, I do really like CHWY. Just make sure if you're getting in on this trade that you're giving yourself some time on your contracts if you're trading options or just buying shares. And then ultimately where I see this going is I do see us going somewhere into the 95 to 105 range once this wave 3 ripper is done. So that's it for CHWY. Let's move on to Boeing. Okay. So Boeing is a stock that I think I had. I would just ignore this guy up here. Um, so Boeing is a stock that I had. I think it was last weekend. Um, on my weekend update is one of my favorites, and the reason it was one of my favorites is we were coming down to hit this uptrend line that we had been respecting since the COVID crash. So that's pretty strong support. So because it's pretty strong support, Boeing was extremely sold off. It's a really good spot for a dip buy, just because there's a good chance you're going to get a pop up from that location because it is strong support. So with that being said, I went through and did the count. I saw this being a potential bottom anyways. So when we got down here, I bought this dip and I wrote it up for a one. And I was tweeting that it was very important on this rally up to take profits because I saw that at some point this two was going to dip. Ultimately, this two dipped in pre-market, I think on Monday, and then it rallied out of it. So even people that never even took profits at one still ultimately benefited from this move. But with that being said, you don't know how low your two is going to go. Your two could have came all the way back down and almost double bottomed, and then you would lose all your profits. So that's why a lot of times when I'm riding up a wave one, I'm very quick with my profits because I know that the two can go very, very deep and it can be very unforgiving, especially with options. So you want to be smart about that. You want to know where you are in your wave count when you're trading because in wave ones, you need to be quick with your trigger so that you can get out before you dip for wave two. If you're in a wave three, then you want to watch for a clear five wave to the upside before you take profits. So now let's talk about where we're going with Boeing. I really like Boeing going up to the 250 range. For my wave three, my purple wave three. I think maybe even 250, 260 is where we'll be before we have our next significant pullback on Boeing. Time will tell, but let's see what we're looking at. So we had a wave one up, we pulled back for a two. Which the two ended up being right around the 61.8, probably about the 50%. We popped up for a one, we pulled back for a two, and then today we blew out earnings. And I did think that the earning blowout was going to come, and that's another reason I was really I like Boeing. I didn't know how the market was going to react to it, but if you remember, there was a lot of good news about Boeing taking a lot of orders this last quarter, and that's what made me think that they were going to have some pretty good earnings. I think that this stock is extremely beat up, and that's why I still have a position. So even after today's rally, it was a big rally, so I closed half my position at open because I do think we're going to get a little bit of a pullback, and I think the market's going to get a little bit of a pullback. From where it currently stands, and that's why I figured I'll exit half my position and I'll let the rest ride. Just in case we pull back, I'd like to realize some profit on this. But where do I see it going? I think we're going to go up and hit this 240 range. We'll probably pull back a little bit from here, hit this 240 range. We'll see some resistance. We'll come back down. We should catch support right around this area again, the 230 range, and then we're going to have the final push taking us up to this 250 range, and then from there we'll be coming down for a purple wave four. So we'll keep watching this, but there's still money to be made in Boeing, and I still think significant dips are a buy. But I would probably wait. If we do just get a little dip tomorrow, I probably wouldn't buy this. I would wait until we have the wave three going down for four and we look for a clear three waves. I'm not as much as a fan as buying the dip on very minute waves as I am waiting for a more of a primary wave dip because it's generally bigger. So with that being said, I do really like Boeing. Congratulations to anybody who was in this play with me from back here. Obviously, it's already printed for us. So let's look at AMD. So AMD, I was screaming about for a few weeks about how I think that it was going to go to all-time highs, and I still do think they're coming. So let's see what exactly we saw today. So going back from our two bottom, we see a clear 1, 2, 3, 4, very shallow 4, up for a 5, and then we had our pullback for 2. So I had a circle drawn here, so I must have done a video on this talking about how I thought this dip for a 2 was a buy, but I've done so many videos, it kind of all blurs together. And now what I'm seeing is that we're in a move up for another blue 1. So this was a blue 1, and mind you, this was a very big move because I'm seeing basically from this 2, I'm seeing a 1, a 2. This red candle that comes pretty deep is a 2. So you go up for 1, you pull back for a 2. It looks like we've already topped for our 3. So I see us pulling back for our 4. If this red candle wasn't the pullback for the 4, I see us pulling back for the 4, and then ultimately we're going to go a little bit higher. So I do think tomorrow we're probably going to go a little bit higher. We might get rejected right around this 99 range if we haven't already topped for our 1. From there, we're going to get a 3-wave pullback. So we're going to start watching this name again because when we get this next 3-wave pullback for this blue 2, it's going to be a great dip buy spot because from there, I see us going into the 100 range. So I do think that this red wave 3 is taking us to 104. The red wave 5 is going to be somewhere around 107. And if I remember correctly, I think my price target in the upcoming probably month or two for AMD is somewhere around 110 to 115. So there will be dips to buy and some good opportunities to scalp options. But congratulations anybody who held this thing through earnings since back here when we were dip buying because it really paid off in a big way today. All right, so let's look at some of the indexes here. So we're going to take a look at SPY, and we're going to kind of try to get a good zoom in here so we can see what's happening. Okay, so what am I seeing with SPY? Okay, so there's two different scenarios. I'll go over both of them, and I'm going to explain why I do prefer the bear count here, unfortunately. So what am I seeing? So I'm seeing that we're in a blue wave 5. So here's my wave 4 bottom right here. What I'm seeing is we popped it for a 1, we pulled back for a 2, we had a 3, a 4, and a 5, which gave us what I'm calling this purple 1. And now what I'm seeing here is I do see, and this is what I tweeted on, I think Monday or Tuesday, whatever day we dropped, that I saw clear 3 waves to the downside. And on these three waves, what I was doing, I was looking at other stocks and I was entering other stock positions like CHWY, Square, some other ones that were a little bit more beat up. Now I did enter a long-term SPY position. I was looking at September's and October calls, and the reason I did that was because I did see a clear three-wave moves to the downside. Now I didn't enter a complete full position, and you'll see in a minute why, and it's because of QQQ. But what I'm seeing is that we had an ABC move to the downside. This W could either be this two, it could be this two bottom. So if we break all-time highs, then the bear count is invalid, and it means that this two is here, and we're going to be ripping from here. But what I'm seeing is that we had an ABC, and I'm thinking this was a W here. So I'm thinking the C was a W, meaning the bear count, we're going into a double correction. I'm seeing this move up as an X. Maybe we go a tiny bit higher in the morning or something like that, but then I think we're going to see another flush down for Y. Um, I the reason I favor this is because of the chart on QQQ, and you'll see that in a minute. If it wasn't for the chart on QQQ, I would say that there's a good shot that this could have been the two bottom. But time will tell, and that's why a lot of times when I'm unsure whether or not it really is the bottom, I'll go with monthly options a few months out, because then it doesn't really matter whether I found the true bottom or not. I talked about this in the video yesterday, and that's why a lot of times I'll go into the trading day with a plan of action and certain price points that I want to get into certain stocks. And then there's some that, hey, any dip I'm going to buy. So I wait for any dip and I get into those. And then if I'm kind of unsure, I get in with a starter position or half of what I'd like to. And that's what I did with SPY, just because I do see a clear three waves. But we're about to look at QQQ, and I'm going to show you why I favor the bear count because of that. So with that being said, this could be a two, and we could be going to all-time highs here, or what I'm favoring is that we're going to get one more flush. I think it's going to be tomorrow, or maybe it's going to be Friday. Maybe we go a little flat, then we flush. And then I think that this is going to be a great dip by spot. So if we do get lucky enough to have another flush from here, this is the spot that you want to enter, maybe some, weekly. But if you're going to do that, then you'd want to go like 2 weeks out, because the window for this wave two, I'm seeing either anywhere between 435 to 431, depending on how deep it goes. And that's what I'm saying. You want to buy yourself at least a couple weeks. You don't want to go something that expires the next day, because that's just a losing game. All right, so let's look at QQQ. So what am I seeing with QQQ? Now, I do still think very, very soon here on QQQ, um, there's going to be a lot of upside. But what I'm seeing, so we peaked, so we came up, so basically back here we had a good dip by spot, popped up for one, pulled back for a two. It looks like I probably deleted my 4 off of here by accident. Let me just put this 4 on here. Sorry about that. Okay, so it looks like we popped up for our 1, pull back for a 2. We had a 3, 4, came up for a 5. Sometimes when you zoom in, it really moves around where you see, or where you thought you had your counters. So with that being said, we peaked for our wave 5. So now what am I seeing? We had a very, very steep drop, right? So it looks like we had like a double top formation kind of, and then we had this very steep drop. Well, I'm seeing this whole move, which it could even be including this. So this whole piece right here from here down to here as a 5-wave impulse down for an A. So we had a 5-wave impulse down here, so we have an A. Well, I'm not seeing 3 waves. I'm not seeing an A, B, C. I'm seeing 5 waves. So I'm seeing an A here. And then what I'm seeing is a 1, 2, and then this whole thing is a C. So if this is an A and this is a B and this whole move up is a C, then that means we're at a B. So that tells me that QQQ right now has only dropped for an A, and it's popping up for a B, and it looks like it's already probably completed that B, and that we're going to flush one more time. And that's what makes me a little bit bearish on the S&P 500, because if the Nasdaq is going to flush one more time, and it could bring QQQ down to this 360 range or this 358 or somewhere between 358 to 353 if it's deep. If the Nasdaq is going to flush one more time, which a lot of these tech companies are selling off after earnings, it's going to bring the S&P 500 down with it. So even though on SPY I'm seeing a clear 3-wave move down, and it could be a wave 2 bottom, because the chart of QQQ still looks weak and looks like it needs another flush, that's making me lean bearish on the S&P 500 as well. So I hope that makes sense, but that's why I'm seeing this. But with that being said, when we came down for an A and I entered a starter position on SPY for October, I did the same thing on QQQ, and the reason behind that is because in case I'm wrong and I'm reading this wrong, and maybe this was a 2 bottom or tech earnings was insane, because mind you, this was right before tech earnings, so it would be possible that maybe this right here, this tiny drop was the A, and this was the B, and then we came down for a C. Even though I see this more as like a 5-wave move. if I was wrong and then that was bottom, this thing could have ripped. And what I basically see after we do find our two bottom, whether it was here or whether it's a little bit lower, I see us going up to this 380 range. That's a pretty big move. So if this was bottom, we're talking 360 to 380. That's a $20 per share move. So that's a pretty big move. And I don't want to miss that. So that's why I just buy time on my contracts. That way I can double down on it if we go lower and I can get a full position. And if we don't, then great. I leave the rest of the money on the sideline. Cash is a position, so there's nothing wrong with that. And then you just look for the next setup. So with that being said, what am I seeing? Well, I do think we had this A. We're going to go up for this B. I think we already topped for the B, and I think we're about to flush, and it's probably going to be tomorrow, or maybe it's going to be Friday just to ruin Amazon earnings as well. And we're going to flush down. I think we're going to get somewhere into this 360 range. And when we do that, maybe even we go a little short. Maybe it's a truncated C, and maybe we end a little bit higher than where A is, something like that. But with that being said, I do see one more flush in our future, and that dip is going to be a great buy opportunity. So if we get lucky enough to have that dip, pick out some stocks you really like and make sure you're buying them. All right, the last one we're going to look at is IWM. So IWM I see as leading the next leg up, and it appears to be doing so. Today, I think at one point it was up 2.5%, something like that. So what am I seeing? I think that we bottomed back here on the 19th. So we came down, we popped up for a 1, pulled back for a 2. We had a 3, a 4, and a 5. So originally I thought that up here where I have this 5, that it was actually a 3 because we had came down where I have this W originally. I had an A, B, C move. And when I had the A, B, C move, it was right at the 38.2% retracement. So because it was right at the 38.2% retracement, I was thinking that this was a wave 3 and we were pulling back for a 4. And then ultimately we're heading up to the 225 range for a 1. Well, after we dipped down again, we popped up for we came down. I called this W now, so we came down for our ABC move for W. We popped up for what I have labeled as an X. Because this X didn't pass all-time highs and it ultimately went lower than where this W was, we obviously had ourselves a complex correction, and it took us down towards the 61.8. We're probably right around at the 50 or something like that. So with that being said, this is a complex correction. So we had an A, a B, a C for a W, had a 3-wave move up for an X, A, B, C for a Y. So this is our 2 bottom. So because it's our 2 bottom, all dips on IWM are going to be a buy. So where are we going? So I'm seeing a 5-wave move up. We could extend a little bit higher if this wasn't already the peak. So if this wasn't already the peak today, we could go extend a little bit higher at open tomorrow maybe, or maybe even close out a little bit higher tomorrow. But we're going to get a 3 swing to the downside. When we get this 3 swing to the downside, we're going to want to buy because this is going to be another wave 2, and it's going to put us in a wave 3 of 3. Where do I have this going? So I want to say it puts us somewhere, and I can't remember if I did an extension, so we're just going to do it again real quick. So when we finish off the 5-wave impulse of what I'm calling this white Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it should put us somewhere in this ballpark of 230 to 237. So there's going to be a big move coming. So if you don't already have a position in IWM, I would recommend buying the dip when it does occur. Hopefully we can see these 3 waves to the downside tomorrow, and then we can get a lucky dip buy here as well. So, all right, guys, that's all I have for tonight. If you like these videos, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. Thanks.